And so, yeah, coming back to your question, I mean, it just shows the amount of suffering in this world, and that's kind of what I see, you know? I just see a lot of suffering and a little bit, you know, yeah, there's times where people are a bit happy, but, you know, the body doesn't lie. People lie all the time, but the body doesn't lie.
Yeah.
And it's just like, God, something's made people this tight, you know?
Yeah.
And, so many different reasons, you know, it's just like people, everybody's on their own like little path, you know? But I think it just really helps when people have like some sort of spiritual path to, you know, deal with the fun, because I see two issues that are underneath for a lot of people, as to why they've got not, you know, but like what I call deepest layer of tension, and that's fear of death and fear of ostracism, fear of not being accepted by other people.
Yeah.
You know, and emotionally, those are like the core layers for a lot of people, and if people can overcome them, if you don't give a shit what other people think about you, then you're free. You know, and if you're not scared of death because you transcended, you know, that, then you're also free of that, and you're free of people trying to control you, you know, because a lot of people control each other through, like, you think about how the government can control people. It's, you know, we're going to ostracize you, or we're going to kill you, or we're going to torture you. And when you know, you look at Jesus or somebody like that, and he had transcended that, you know, fear of death and fear of, you know, he didn't care if all those, you know, whatever, Philistine, whatever they were called, Pharisees, you know, all those people, you know, and you see that with great spiritual people. But for the vast majority of people, that's not the case, you know. They've warped themselves in order to get that social approval, you know. All the stupid shit, like, you know, public, you know, a lot of public schools, not just public, but private, whatever, you know. People bully other people if they're not how they, you know, hey, if you're not like me, I'll bully you, you know.
Right.
I mean, that's epidemic, you know.
Yeah.
Epidemic. And it's like, what does that do to somebody, you know? Obviously, it takes them off their center instead of just going, hey, I want to, you know? I always look at it like we're all like individual, like flowers, you know? Everybody, some people are, you know, like a fucking tulip. Some people are like a sunflower. Some people, you know, we're all different, you know? And trying to make us all conform is not healthy if that's not your path, you know? And that's why the beauty of astrology, I'm looking at each person's born with that particular karmic, you know, personality, body type, you know? And we just got to do the best with what we've got. Then it comes down to, you know, what is the best, obviously. And as you say, it's like, if it's not a spiritual thing, well, it's temporary, because it's going to leave when you die. But, you know, even on a, you know, that's obviously the deepest layer of philosophy or of spiritual thought. But, you know, this massage can be even for people that are like wanting to improve at sports, even if it's temporary. You know? Just have a better physical body, you know? Play football better, play, you know? Of course, time will. I massage these football players, gridiron in Sydney, like I was working in the 5-star hotels, and they had the Super Bowl there for some reason. And fuck, these guys, a lot of these guys had bodies that were 8 feet tall, you know? Like, literally, they looked like giants. And I was massaging this guy's leg, and it was like that fucking big, you know?
Yeah.
And he'd had 52 knee operations, you know?
Oh my God.
And I'm like, you know, like you got that use by date. You think, I think that was 25 years ago. Where are they now? They're the guys sitting back looking at the newspaper articles about how they were when they were young, you know? And now they got this body, even if it's big, they could be in a wheelchair, you know?
Yeah.
And then they're, you know, creeping towards old age or death. And it's kind of like, okay, was that they thought that was the goal of life, you know?
Yeah.
Become the best football player, you know? Or you got the women that want to be the prettiest woman, you know? Sweet 16, bitter 60. So, yeah, like you say, I mean, you know, once you get your body into, it's still good to have like a loose body and healthy, but you still got to consider your spiritual purpose in your life, your dharma, you know, or your even deeper. And I think Western thought doesn't go as deep as Ayurveda, that's for sure. You know, Ayurveda is much more holistic. I think Ayurveda is even one step deeper than Chinese medicine. Because the spiritual component of Ayurveda is a lot deeper, and the purpose of life and that sort of thing, the yoga systems, and you know. I still like Chinese medicine though. It's more find your place in nature and sort of fit in, you know, I suppose. I mean, Ayurveda can be a little bit like that, but it's deeper.
Have you had any experience with the Ayurvedic computer program that Dr. Astrology was part of?
No.
So,
Is that a recent thing, or?
I don't know how recent, because I just came in contact with it at Thai retreat.
Oh.
Radish Kurumasi uses it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was filming her using it on a lady,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just asking her about it. And she said, yeah, he was one of the primary consultants.
Right.
When they created it,
Mm-hmm.
and that its output is being analyzed well, and is consistent with leading Ayurvedic physicians' diagnosis.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
including him.
Wow.
So yeah, it's super accurate.
That's like artificial intelligence, like,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll have to have a look at that.
Very interesting.
You know, I've been reading Basant Lad's books for, you know, decades.
Yeah.
And he's close associate of David Frawley, who is like the Ayurveda Charya that I learned from, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, they just hook you up. I think they're just taking the pulse. I have to double check. That's primarily the pulse. And they're just feeding the pulse into a sensor that's running into the computer, and it's just goes through its steps, and then comes out with its output.
Wow.
Result. And she said it's hard to
Wow. That's something I'd like to try. I have a lot of respect for Ayurveda, you know. As I was saying, I haven't met anybody that's been like super impressed me with the Ayurvedic massage, but the rest of it, theory, the nutrition, the spices, the herbs, but certainly the theory of it is I find very impressive, between the gunas of sattva, tamas, rajas, you know, and the doshas of pitta, kapha, and vata, you know, the elemental basis of it, and, you know, going into depth of almost like Ayurvedic psychology in some ways. I know different people have written about that, but yeah, I love that. I mean, they got some pretty radical shit, you know, like when I was living in Byron Bay back in the 1990s, you know, there was some really good Ayurvedic practitioners around, and Dr. Shanti Kumar Kamlesh, he came over from India. He was like a 6th generation Ayurvedic doctor that used to treat the kings of India.
Oh, yeah.
He's actually in Hawaii, I think, now, but it was like there was a lot of stuff with Ayurveda, and they used to get hold of all these different bhajmas, which are purified like gemstones, like sapphires, and and they mix them with powdered herbs. They heat them, and even they use one called macaradawaj, which is a mercury based. Normally mercury is completely poisonous, But yeah, it was an interesting, but it's supposed to be good for certain things. I quite enjoyed taking them actually. And then of course there's shilajit, which is the mineral substance. That's getting quite popular. I was actually just talking to my cab driver the other day, and he was telling me about how he takes shilajit.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, in Gimpy. I was like, yeah, I know shilajit. I've been taking it for 30 years, Yeah, a lot of Ayurveda is definitely coming into the mainstream more. Yeah, I'd love to see the advancements that they're going to make in Vedic astrology with computers as well, so it's a little bit cheaper. Because I don't know like a good Vedic astrologer that I could kind of recommend, But it's super cool how people figured a lot of this shit out, like they just figured stuff out, or it was, divinely channeled, transmitted or what have you.
Praktisiddhanta was astrologer.
Yeah, he was a Vedic astrologer.
Later on, his disciples would ask him and say, can you read my hand?
Oh.
And says, I said, grabs their hand. He looks at it, he frowns at it, he says, just
Yeah, because that's in the end, that's the kind of conclusion, in a sense, that I came to with astrology. Is like it can tell you a lot, and it's accurate. It can be accurate when done, but in the end, it's kind of like, well, you're gonna die, and what's the purpose of your life? What do you? But it's still kind of cool. So you teach meditation in Hawaii for the public, or?
Yeah, we do. We primarily mantra meditation.
Yeah.
Corrective breathing, which is a process of incorporating your breath with the use of mantras.
You can start to feel the bands as you're coming up here a lot more. we're getting some nice releases actually. It's really kind of letting go in your hand and, you know,
Uh-huh.
so just following that up.